In the lead up to the ride, we communicate with all the people that are registered through regular rider updates, and those updates are designed to let them know what's going to be ahead of them, let them know how to prepare themselves physically and mentally for the ride, let them know how to prepare their bikes and what to expect, some of the challenges they might face during the ride, the right sort of gear to wear, the carrying capacity on their bike, being able to carry everything you need because you've got to be self-contained. Some of the riders were camping, so they had swags and all that sort of thing. So they've got to carry a fair bit of gear. The logistics for a ride like this are massive, from just getting the registration process organised to planning the route to arranging accommodation for the group of 60, or a bit over 60 as we went around.
I went out on the Black Dog ride, met good people who made me smile. Nationwide biking procession, raising funds to fight depression.
We start about 12 months beforehand, preparing for something like this, liaising with local communities, with local bike riders, bringing people together basically.
It's a pretty full-on exercise just to get them on the road, and then keeping them on the road and keeping them organised for 32 days, that's a whole nother set of logistics.
The riders were kept on the road by a dedicated support crew. Working long hours, they assisted the riders with the inevitable accidents and breakdowns.
I'm here to help the guys that are making the effort to get around Australia and get the message out about depression and suicide. I think it's a brilliant effort, and it goes right back to the founder and Steve. To me, I joined Black Dogs seriously last year, and I've now taken it on board, and I want to be doing this for as long as I possibly can. I set out initially to make sure that every bike left Sydney and got back to Sydney via doing the Round Australia run. It is a big ask, but we've achieved what we set out to do up to date. We've got all bikes that have broken down or had mishaps. We've managed to get them back on the road, and they're still running.
A lot of hard work, a lot of behind the scenes work. It's up before the riders, we go to sleep later than the riders, and it's all about taking care of the riders and making sure their journey, their ride, is as comfortable and as enjoyable as possible.
We've had 2 emus hit, we've had a couple of roos hit, we've had broken drive shafts, we've had punches, we've had blown shock absorbers. There's various other numerous smaller things. There's an ECU failed on one bike. And we've managed to keep all these bikes, get them back running on the road again.
This ride isn't just for members of the public, but for the riders as well. And we are continually, every hour, working behind the scenes to try and lift those spirits, bring people together, build their capacity, so we'll get to the finish line safely.
The Black Dog Ride was also supported by a number of companies and organisations, including Holden, Yahava Coffee Works and Lions Club.
Look, the Lions have been amazing supporters. They in a sense, sponsored my accommodation all the way around Australia on that first ride. I believe the Lions are a conduit to the communities we go through.
Everywhere all over Australia, everywhere that they go to, where we have a Lions Club, so therefore we're supporting the Black Dogs throughout Australia, every club.
Our message filters back through them into their community, and I know anecdotally and from personal contact and feedback I get from Lions that they value their involvement in Black Dog Ride, and they're an enormous part of the ride.
taken one last night if I realised it was going to be that effective. In seriousness, thank you. Please take the message back to your workplace and start talking. And that's all we ask. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Enjoy your ride.
Yeah, we will.
Although women are more likely to experience depression or anxiety, men are less likely to seek help. 80% of all suicides in Australia are committed by men.
Men don't cry, that's especially in my generation, we were brought up basically a man doesn't cry, he gets over it, gets on with life. Well, I'm sorry, men do cry, and if they don't outwardly cry, they're crying inside, and this business of it will be right is a joke, because we think we're invisible, we're not, we're still human beings.
Well, initially I didn't even know I had depression myself. It was my wife eventually saying to me, you need some help, and I was in the military at the time, and she said, I'm going to ring the Padre at work and get him to come and talk to you, because I was just angry. I was angry all the time. That started a drip feed for me thinking, yeah, maybe I do need help. And so eventually I did. I rang Vet Affairs and I got help and through the military. And from there it went on to a proper diagnosis of depression. And once I acknowledged what I had, then I could start the healing.
I actually contemplated suicide, actually further than contemplated, I planned it. The only step that I hadn't concluded was the actual when. I concluded how, and where and all that sort of stuff, but not the actual when. But the way I was going, that wasn't going to be that far off.
Men take their lives by suicide about 4 times more often than women. Women perhaps think about suicide, plan suicide, but men actually complete suicide 4 times as often as women.
The Black Dog Charity Ride team has arrived in Perth. This year's ride, though, has been marred by the tragic death of one of its own riders, Les James. The Busselton man died earlier this week after being hit by a truck near Mullewa.
There was only a fleeting moment when the news first hit me. I was probably in shock, but where I thought, does the ride have to end here?
Well, thanks for everybody for coming this afternoon. It's important that we share those things together, because there's a sense in which when you're doing things together, we're actually upholding one another, and that's really what it's all about in the midst of the sadness and the sad news that we received yesterday afternoon, holding one another up and supporting one another. I was sort of thinking about the frailty of life, and I was thinking about how beautiful life is, particularly when you compare it to the scenery that we've been going through over these last few days, because life, it's a beautiful thing, and tragically we've seen a life cut short just yesterday afternoon. And I think in a group like this, we've all experienced moments of sadness and moments of grief. In fact, that's why we ride. That's why we ride. We ride for one another. We ride for those who are experiencing those moments of... I know Les, and I knew that he would want that ride to go on. And I think this is, well, it had to happen. We had to keep him going. And Les, I think Les probably would have been upset if we stopped the ride.
If the ride had stopped, I think that would have done an injustice to what happened.
We had to go on as much as anything in his honour, and when obviously I couldn't attend Les's funeral in Busselton, and so we decided that on the day of his funeral, at the time that he was laid to rest, we would have a service of our own. And we were in a lovely little town in South Australia called Burra. So we arranged that we would be there on the riverbank to have our own memorial service for Les. And our Padre, David Deal, did him proud. Yeah, sorry. Still pretty raw.
I knew that our crew would band together. We have a very, very close-knit crew, and it was an opportunity, a sad opportunity, but it was a good time for us to band together and not just talk the talk but walk the walk in supporting each other and getting us through a really hard moment.
It was a tragedy that I could never envisage. It's an organiser and event's worst nightmare to lose a fellow rider, let alone a friend, and it did cast an immediate shadow, I know, over me and I think over the whole ride. We continued the ride, obviously with a cloud hanging over us for some time, and that cloud hasn't totally lifted. Speaking with Patrick, James, Les's oldest boy, who was amazingly stoic and amazing in the face of such tragedy and loss, that he empowered me with his strength to keep it going and finish the mission.
We've had so many good breakfasts, it's hard to choose, but this is one of the better ones.
That one. Eating again, but we're not eating bacon and eggs today.
Norseman breakfasts are the best.
Very good.
I often say there's nothing like a group of motorcyclists that come to town that invigorate a town and generate some interest. And may I say, I think this is your 23rd day of your around Australia trip. Fantastic 14,400 kilometres that you're doing. You've done about 12,000 now, and you're still looking all together and bright and in one piece. So looks can deceive, you say. Looks can deceive. Anyway, thank you very much, and good on you for continuing what you're doing, because what you do does save lives. And from the point of view of the state government and the Premier, we congratulate you and thank you very much. Thanks, Jack. Do you want to say a few words?
I also congratulate you guys. I think it's very important that this black dog is recognised a lot more, and by you doing what you're doing certainly is making a lot more people aware, especially in small communities like this. You know, where farmers are having a struggle, and station owners and just general people who have retired. I was talking to one chap there before that retirement is really important, to plan and do things for your retirement, because sometimes this black dog does creep up on you, and I think it's very important, and I really congratulate you all, and I wish you all well and hope you have a successful tour. Thank you very much.
So how many whales are there approximately?
20. Yeah, 20 and a couple with calves as well. Yeah, so it's well worth stopping by.
Got to go and see them. Each way. Worth 60 of them. Every bit of it.
Like shooting whales in a barrel, mate.
Shooting whales in a barrel, all right. Great.
In Australia, suicide is the leading cause of death for men and women between the ages of 15 and 44. For many sufferers, their troubles begin in adolescence.
I, for some time now, have been concerned about the issue of mental illness amongst our youth. Traditionally, it starts in adolescence, if it's going to start at all, in a lot of people. And if we can encourage the young people to be more aware of their mental health and to be more aware of their fellow students and their friends, I think that just gives them a head start.
probably the first school that I went to, that was at Denmark. I spoke to the school there, and afterwards I had one of the guys come up to me, one of the young kids actually, 16 and a half years old. He told me that he was really happy with what I said, because I sort of spoke about mateship, and sometimes you just have to be there, all right? So you don't have to say anything, you just have to be there. And he said he was really happy to hear that, because he'd been going out with a young girl for about 18 months, a fairly new relationship, and she suffered from depression. And he said sometimes that's all he could do was just sit there with her. And he was actually spending time every night, 3 or 4 hours a night, talking to her on the telephone, because he's at a residential school and only goes home on the weekend. So, so that sort of hits home what it's about. Here's a young fella taking on a responsibility. Could have easily dumped her and moved on, but no, he decided to stay with her, and to me that's a highlight.
Cardiovascular disease such as heart attack or stroke or cancer more often strikes towards the end of a person's lifespan. Unfortunately, some young people do get those illnesses, but it's much more an illness in our later years. Whereas mental illness often will strike with its first episode in the teenage years or young adult years, and can actually have an impact on that person's life right across their lifetime. And that's why we really need to focus on helping young people with mental health problems.
Not only are you talking to the teachers and the school bureaucracy so that they can put in place tools for after we've gone, but you can talk to the particularly for me, particularly the older kids in the primary school and in the high school. They can absorb and take in more and realise more. For me, my choice to be involved in that was because my story is real, it's current, and it's close to their age group.
We haven't visited schools everywhere we've been, but what we've done I think has worked really well, and I think it's something that we as an organisation will develop and try to incorporate in every ride that we do, every long ride we do, because I think it's just, I know the riders get a kick out of it, seeing all those smiling faces, seeing the excitement on in the kids' eyes, letting them have a look at the bikes, starting up just general conversations, but just, you know, getting around the subject.
Mental health first aid course is something that is quite similar to a first aid course, but it's looking at how you help someone who might be undergoing a bit of feeling down, a bit of depression, as Steve said, and these can be very, very serious things to deal with.
We've got a few of our guys who are trained as mental health first aid instructors who have then gone on into some of a classroom situation or a group situation in the schools and address the kids more specifically about the issues of looking after themselves and looking after their mates and being aware of their mental health, and I just think that's got to be good.